Good day. Welcome to First Serve podcast with one of your hosts, Des Brown from We Pickle, the original Geechee Gala pickleballer, with my partner right here, Coach.
Hey, Coach Antonio here with DAB Pickleball live from Georgia. It's good to see you all. It's good to hear you all. And I'm glad that you guys are hanging with us this morning.
Awesome, man. We just jumped in again to give you one of these hot topics in the pickleball community. One thing we want to talk about today is the impact on our personal games as it pertains to being coaches. Coach, a question for you. How does being a coach impact your personal game from a positive and a negative standpoint? Do you feel once you became an instructor that you became a better player, or did that have a negative impact on your pickleball game?
So that's a great question, man. And personally, it impacted my game in a positive and a negative way. In the very beginning, and what I mean by that is a lot of times when you're coaching, depending on the skill level of your player that you're coaching, you play to that level, and a prime example, if I have a 2.5 or a 3.0 player, I'm teaching them based on where they're at and based on their potential. And so if I'm drilling with them or the game speed matches where they are, it kind of puts me in that flow or that mindset also. So now I'm playing and thinking like a 2.5 or a 3.0. And it's a gift and a curse to a certain extent, because I feel like the gift is I'm able to dial in with that person where they are. But the curse is, for example, if I'm coaching a 2.5 or a 3.0 person for an hour, and then after I'm done, I have some 4.045 players like, hey, you want to play? And it's like, yeah, let's do this. And then I hop in there and instantly the game is a 4.045, but coaches in that mindset of 2.530. So now the game speed is different. The strategy is different. So it takes me a second to kind of adjust to what's happening, which it can be pretty bad. So yeah, man, it impacts me positive and negative. But now, like, the more I coach, the more I'm able to jump in and jump out of that mindset, if that makes any sense. So yeah, man, it can be tough, going from being a coach to a player. But, at the end of the day, if you love what you do, it's pretty simple. Hop in. All right, now the game is a little bit different. So you just kind of approach it different. What about you, Coach? Talk to me.
This has been a hot topic between like me and my friends. Also some of other instructors that, we just have conversation about this exact topic. For me personally, 2023, I took off and stopped playing in tournaments, right? I just wanted to kind of focus on business and put the competitive stuff to the side. I just felt like it was my opportunity to capitalize on some things that presented itself in the business world for me. So I just wanted to focus on that, because a person like me, I'm a competitor. So when I was in tournament mode and I was playing in these tournaments a couple times a month or whatever the case may be, I was always searching for better games, the best competition I can find, the best players to help me get better and also to prepare me for tournaments. So I felt like I was peaking at the height of my pickleball game. When I took this year off to focus on business, I reflect on my personal game and I see how much my personal game has declined. Going back to a little bit of what you described, working with 2.5s, 3.0s, intermediate play, 85% of my clientele are at that skill level. And I think that's pretty much across the board for instructors. Right. It's so many people getting into pickleball. They're new to the game. really don't have that much experience. So of course, they're starting off at a 2-5 level. You have a lot of tennis players right now that are converting to pickleball and taking a lot of lessons just to kind of figure out the difference in the styles of play. And they come in a lot of times right at that between that 3-0 to 3-5 level because they have the skills that they're bringing in from tennis. But when you spend as much time as we spend training, working, and developing players, and you don't take as much time as you did in your past on improving your personal game because you're hyper focused on making these beginners better, it does take a impact on your game. Negatively for me, when I get out and I play on occasions with some of my buddies that are 4-5 and above players, just like you mentioned, it takes a little bit of time for me to adjust to the speed of the game. The balls that are coming at me, the difference in play, because when you're training and you're developing people, things are just much slower, right? Things are just much slower from a dinking aspect, from a driving aspect, from slamming the ball and your reaction to all of those things, going from, I just spent 3 or 4 hours working with a 3-0 player or a 3-5 player, and the balls that I'm seeing and the balls that I'm feeding are different when I get in front of my buddies who are trying to blast the ball at my body or blast the ball by me. And sometimes, because I really don't get an opportunity to play with my friends, honestly, at this point, maybe once a month, if that. If I'm lucky, we get together once a month. And this goes back to 2.5 years of playing with these boys every morning. And I see how their game has progressed in this last year. And my game has stayed pretty much where it was when I decided not to compete and play in tournaments anymore. So yes, it certainly had a negative impact on my personal game. And, me and you talk about this sometimes, like, yeah, we can go out and drill and do that one-on-one thing to kind of keep your skills where they need to be. But that's still completely different than when that fire's in front of you, right? And that fast game and that different style of players in front of you, it's still an adjustment.
But Coach, you said something, nice segue, man. I appreciate that alley-oop, but it was like Shaq and Kobe, man. When Kobe made that eye contact with Shaq, and Shaq was like, and he threw it up, and Buddy he came through baseline, nasty, Rick Ross-ish.
Oh yeah,
yeah, drilling. You know what I mean? Like, I look at again, it's only one Ben Johns. It is what it is, and I can almost guarantee Ben doesn't play a lot of rec play. He doesn't really play a lot. He just drills. So I say that because that's what I do. You know what I mean? Not to the extent that he does. I don't have, again, if I'm coaching all the time, I'm running the business, I'm trying to, I'm trying to scale. It's like you don't really have a lot of time to drill or even, play that much. But I think for me, it keeps me sharp by drilling. You know what I mean? Because it's reps. You know what I mean? Like, I think think about it. When you're teaching, depending on the skill level of the individual, you're teaching reps. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I need to improve your skills. And it comes from these reps, like get your reps in. So for me, that keeps me sharp. I go out there and I get my reps in. I know my mechanics is decent. As far as like the advantage, I'll say for me is I'm always studying strategy. You know what I mean? So when I'm watching the highest level, I'm studying strategy. So it doesn't matter who I'm on the court with. I'm always trying to outthink you. Even if my reps and my mechanics are off a little bit, I'm still trying to figure out how do I outthink you on the court. So yes, when I'm doing reps with someone that's a beginner, it throws me off, but I'm always thinking, okay, what is a strategy that I can teach them that may be a higher level strategy, but I want to customize it to where they can digest it. So yes, playing with a beginner or drilling with a beginner is slow pace. You might get in a high level game where the pace is high. The strategy might be a little bit more sharper, But I think if as a coach, you got to be sharpening your tools, man. You got to be out there drilling a little bit. I don't care if you drill once a week. You got to be out there touching the ball, seeing the ball. It's one thing to talk about it, but when you be about it too, it's a nice balance. So yeah, man, I that you hit on drills. I'm like, yeah, man, that you got to have that in there. You got to.
So that's one thing that I'm making a conscious effort to do more now. As a matter of fact, we do our podcast on Tuesdays at 4 a.m. After I get off this podcast, as soon as the light crack, I'm meeting my partner out there before I get started with my lessons this morning, and we plan on drilling 4 days out of the week. Because I just reflected on this last week, and I was just like, when I go out and play, I wanna compete. I want to make sure that if you didn't know me when we leave off the court, you're gonna know who I am. So what I also understand with drilling, and this comes from my experience with sports, Steph Curry can go out right at 6 o'clock in the morning and meet his trainer at the gym and put up 500 or 600 shots, right? Or get in there, use the ball machine where the ball is tossed to him and he's just getting his reps, getting his rhythm, getting all of that, right? When I trained for football, I would always get a wide receiver and a DB. And I'm basically just working on my reps, going through my route tree, throwing these balls. But the difference in that is when Steph has to run for 30 seconds coming off picks just to get an open shot and still have those legs to get the ball up with a hand in his face where someone 6'5", 6'6" is defending him. Or when I'm playing football, it's completely different when the game is live and I have 7 people that are rushing me and they have their hands up and hitting me every play. That's completely different than just getting those reps. So even with the drills part, being able to translate that into live action and being prepared for balls to come back, right? Balls being smashed at you. It's hard to simulate that without the actual gameplay, right? So I think it's a combination of both. But what I've also understood in pickleball in my research of the top players, exactly what you said. Ben Johns and these guys are doing much more drilling than they're playing. Anderson Scarpa and Greg Dow and Cosmeyer, these are our professional players in Charleston that I sit and watch and I talk to, and those guys are out there drilling much more than they're playing. But they still figure out a way to get that top level play in to prepare them for tournaments. So as instructors, if your priority is to keep your game at a certain level, I think it has to be a combination of both. Whether you're dedicating a couple of hours a week to finding that kind of play that can keep you sharp. And in the meantime, when you don't have the time, getting that 35, 45 minutes of yourself and a partner working on your drills, or you and your ball machine, like I see you do often, just putting in that work. Like you said, I think that keeps us sharp. But we also have to find that balance of, okay, I need some competitive play. So when I step out there, it doesn't take me a game or two to catch up to the speed of the game, to figure out what's going on. So I think it's a combination of both. But this is a very interesting topic. Like I said, I think about it all the time. And going into 2024, I like the decision I made in 2023 by taking a step back, focus on business. I see every day how that was the right decision, and that's where my focus needs to be. Now, going into 2024, I still don't want to play in tournaments. That's where I'm, that's not my goal. But my goal is to make sure I'm sharp, make sure that I step on the court with the top players in my area. I'm still Dez, And my friends laugh at it all the time because they're just like, we watch you sometimes, man, and we know how competitive you are. And as much time as you're putting in your business and work and training and all the other things you got going on, we can see the difference in your game. Now, you still Dez, we know that, but we can just tell like the difference in your game right now. And for me, it's riding a bike. Once I get popped back into it, and I figure out on a Tuesday or Wednesday if I have an hour and a half at the end of my day to get with my boys and get the games in. These guys text and call me every week. Hey, Des, we meeting up at so-and-so at this time, da-da-da. And the answer all year is, nah, I can't make it. I got to work. Nah, I can't make it. I got to work. And then sometimes those boys understand and they just stop reaching out to you. But I really got good friends who, tell me in the background, hey, I know you're busy, but we miss you. You got to keep your game. You were somebody that inspired us, just your style of play, this sort of thing. So I'm going to make a conscious effort in 2024 to get back to being that dog on the court. I felt like I lost that dog, And for me, like with my game, I'm edgy. So I need that dog in me. And I'm going to bring her back out coming in 2024. I just got to figure it out.
Hey, at the end of the day, brother, I hear everything you're saying, man, because, I think something you mentioned, being able to drill, putting that time in. And I'll say this. Ben Johns, you got to think about just the pro level anyway. Most of them live in different areas. You know what I mean? So they don't get to practice together. You got some. A huge advantage people don't even think about, and this is going to be a whole nother topic, the siblings. You know what I mean? Like, dude, they live together or they live in the same. So, of course, their chemistry should be better than yours. They should be running through everyone else because they play together way more. They drill together way more. They got different coaches. You know what I mean? Like, they have that. But if you take someone like a Ben Johns and Anna Lee that are at top of the game, so I'm at top of the business too. So they don't have time to be like, hey, man, I'm going to fly out and let's go drill here. You know what I mean? Or let's go practice and get these games in. It's just they putting in the work where they are. You know what I mean? So it's like for us as coaches, we don't have that luxury. You know what I mean? Like we don't have that time. Time is so valuable. And I think, and I can speak for myself, but I'm quite sure you're in the same boat. We care that much about our student that we will put them first when it comes to the time we have. Like we're spending all this time on the court with them, investing in them.
Absolutely.
But we're not truly investing in ourselves when it comes to our individual game. And it can take a toll, you know what I mean? Like, but it only will take a toll if you allow it, you know? And like you just said, you're making that conscious effort to 2024. Hey, bring that dog back. Who let them dogs out? You know what I mean? So
yeah, it's real.
It is real though, man, because I'm the same way, man. I don't like stepping on the court and I don't have that dog just, you know what I mean? Like, even if you don't see it on the surface, I know it's bubbling. But yeah, man, it's just different when you get on a court with some guys that hey, they've been getting them games in and they've been getting them reps in and they look sharp and they got that eye of the tiger and it's just like, woo, boy, man, hold on, where I been? So
yeah, I think a lot. Coach, I think a lot is confidence. And what I mean by confidence,
for sure.
I was so confident and secure in the things that I could do on the court, my abilities. I knew what my strengths were. I knew what my weaknesses were, and I knew how to supplement my weaknesses and kind of push that to my strengths in the course of the game. You talk about strategies and figuring out the best way for you to be successful on the court. I feel like over the last year, like you wouldn't know, nobody would know outside of myself that I lacked the confidence in things that I were able to do. You may can see it, but as much as I talk, you don't know because you still think that I'm as confident as I was, but I'm not. Just certain things that came so easily for me on the court before last year aren't as easy anymore. I let people get away with so much more. Is that little line of error that I used to capitalize on, I could take advantage of. It was just a certain height that ball had to be at that net where I could be more aggressive or speed the ball up. And when you don't do that constantly and you don't spend time, those are the little things that you lose, right? Driving the ball, on your third shots, and then resetting the ball on your fifth, just little things like that. Yeah, I still can drop the ball and do the third shot drop, because here again, this is something that I emphasize with my clients. This is something that I work on regularly with my clients so they can advance to the next skill level. But in my personal games, I think about my drives and driving the balls and the pop I'm losing just from not getting those reps, right? Or backhand putaways or forehand putaways, or sliding my feet to get to the balls and having clear shots instead of slower foot speed and more reaching. I dissect all those little things. So going into 2024, I know exactly, the things I need to focus on just to get back to being confident and being myself. I tell my clients all the time, especially as it pertains to dinking, you have to be patient enough to allow your opponents to make a mistake. You can't be patient if you're not confident, right? So you have to be confident in your ability to dink, whether that's 3 balls, 5 balls, 20 balls to get to the right ball to put away. But you can't do that if you're not confident in your ability to dink. So I take that same advice to myself and understand moving into the next year. Hey, just get out there, spend more time drilling at an advanced level. I think that's a key point, right, too, Coach? Advanced drilling, not drilling with a 3-0 or 3-5 or having somebody feed you the ball, but actually having someone in front of you that can help you get better. And I think that's the difference in the conversation we're having as far as the pros. When they're out drilling every day, they're drilling with people that are on their skill level that can help make them better. So that's another one of my focus, making sure that my drilling partners are at the skill level that can help me get better as I'm doing the same for them, helping them get better.
No, I agree, man. You said quite a bit. And I think the main thing that I took away from that was advanced drilling, and for me personally, that's why I like my ball machine, because it's so many different settings that you can adjust it to do certain things. And I think the key with drilling, one of the essential keys to drilling is reps. I'm not saying I need a perfect ball, but if I'm working on something specific, I don't need someone that's going to mess up every 2 or 3 balls. And it's just like, I can't find my rhythm. I can't build that confidence. Now I can't get my shots. So with that ball machine, for example, right, if I want to work on quick hand speed, right, at the non-volley line or kitchen line, I'll turn the ball machine up to the max. Do I have that sucker coming across like between 20 and 40 miles per hour, whatever the case may be, and I know it's coming in quick? I can change it to where it's every 3 seconds the ball coming, every 6 seconds. You know what I mean? Just so that I can see the ball, and I'm getting that game speed too. Quick ball, boom, 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 boom. I get 100 balls in a row. Yeah, just boom, 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 boom. Versus someone that's trying to drive the ball at me, and now they're hitting here, or in the net. So yes, to your point, those pros, do they have people that are consistent? They're efficient. They know how to help you progress. So, hey man, that's huge. You get advanced drilling, and that's something I love teaching. Like for my beginners, basic drilling. Really and truly, I don't even really teach drilling to beginners. You know what I mean? Like it's more so individualized to a certain extent, you know what I mean? But I'll teach them how to drill, but like intermediate, advanced. Now, hey, you have the foundation of pickleball. Now let's work on something specific. This is how you drill in order to increase this skill set. You know what I mean? So, yeah, bro. Oh, the last thing I'm gonna say also, this is something I always tell new coaches, even old coaches. This is my personal opinion, so hopefully nobody gets offended and everyone agrees. If not, it's okay. It's okay. But every good coach doesn't mean you are a good player. And every good player doesn't mean that you are a good coach. My thought is this: when you're balanced, when you have a great ratio between the two, you're one of the few coaches that can balance that. Because a lot of we just went, if you listen to this whole podcast, if you listen to everything we just said, we basically told you that, hey, it's tough sharpening and being confident in your skill level individually as a coach versus being a player. But when you can get that balance to where you can be a good coach or a great coach, or a good player or a great coach, dude, you're a unicorn. You know what I mean? Like, because as a human being, we're selfish. And so you either want to be a great player here, and if it translates on the court, cool. Or you want to be a great coach. But if you can have that fine line in between the two, and that's where I like to reside at. Honestly, like, I want to make sure that I can do what I do as a coach and I can do what I can do as a player. So you got to have that balance. You got to have a nice ratio of coach versus being a player.
Man, that was probably the best point on this podcast that was made today, because look at the landscape of sports, coach. How many Hall of Fame players in every sport, right, have been successful coaches? Deion Sanders right now is trying to break that mold, right? But if you look at the top coaches, whether it's in football, basketball, or baseball, how many of them were the best players or Hall of Fame players? So you, just like you said, just because you were a great player, that certainly doesn't make you a great coach. So just finding that balance. And I think that's what both of us are trying to do. I feel like most instructors, this isn't just something that me and you are talking about. This is something that is probably going on with the majority of instructors that sacrifice and spend as much time focusing on business and making others better during this course of becoming the best instructor that you can be, being the best coach that you can be, business entrepreneur in this pickleball community that you can be. So for all of us, other instructors out there that are tuned in and listen to this podcast, I know this is a conversation that you're probably having in your specific communities, but if there's any advice that I would leave today, speaking to you and speaking to myself, is going into 2024, finding that balance, finding ways for you to keep your skill set sharp, finding ways for you to keep your competitive edge. And that might be a little different, coach, because maybe, as an instructor, you might get to a certain point and say, hey, I'm just dedicated to teaching this game. Mm-hmm. I'm dedicated to making these people better. I can care less about finding these advanced games and how I look on the court, as long as I'm doing my job, because ultimately our job as instructors is help teaching the game and helping making our clients better. So there's nothing wrong with that being your focus. But for me, moving into next year, I just want to be me again, as far as on the court, the things that, that I could do and I was comfortable with doing, and just finding that again. And I'm going to put some effort into that and make sure that the primary focus is still the primary focus, and that's making sure that We Pickle is successful and being the best business that we can be for the people.
Hey, I like that. And so my last piece of advice as well, I agree wholeheartedly, but I'm also say this: your students are watching, and I mean you on the court, coaches. So you are a walking billboard. So you got to practice what you preach. I'm gonna leave it at that. That's gonna be a whole nother topic. But
and before we even close that out, I want to say this. I know we're running at the end of the time. That's something that I express to my instructors more than anything. Forget the competitive stuff that we've been talking about the last 30 minutes. When you're in front of your clients and they're paying you to teach them, and you're instructing and you're demonstrating and you're missing serves, or you're missing return serves while you're teaching, or you can't drop the ball and you don't look like this is something that you can do, why would they spend their money having you teach them something that you can't prove that you can do yourself? So as coaches, I'm glad Coach brought that up, because I am really on my instructors about that. When I'm behind the fence and I'm watching you teach someone, and you're teaching dropping the ball and third shot drop, and you're missing 5 out of 10 drops, and I have to wonder behind the fence, why is that person paying you to do that? Right? So keep that in mind. Stay on your grind, stay sharp, get your drills in to make sure that when you're demonstrating to your clients that they're seeing something that makes them want to continue their coaching experience with you. Go ahead and close us out, Coach.
Hey, so this is Coach Antonio First Serve. We are very, very blessed and fortunate to have this platform to be sharing what we are experiencing in pickleball from a coaching standpoint, from a player standpoint, and also as business owners standpoint. Coach, send them off, baby.
Des Brown, We Pickle Charleston, the original Geechee Gala pickleballer. Shout out to them Geechees in Charleston, South Carolina, and across the country, man. We'll see y'all next time. We out, chat.